What's up, beautiful people? I'm Nathaniel Pearl,
And I'm Sami Sheva.
and welcome to Curious Chimps Podcast, a show where we explore the infinite complexities of the human experience.
We do not endorse anything illegal, so please consult doctors, do your research, and for the love of all that is holy, be safe. All right, let's talk about drugs.
Curious Chimps. Curious Chimps.
So what's new? What's going on, brother?
Nothing at all. I'm very boring. I have a job. I talk to people. Actually, I met a girl. That's cool.
There you go.
But again, it's weird to catch up, me and you, in front of everyone who's listening.
We can talk about whatever. We don't have to talk about...
I'm shy, guys. I don't want to. I'm a very private person. That's why I just talk a lot. It's the only way people get to know me, or else I would just be.
Yeah, I guess. Well, we can just get into the whole COVID thing that I had. It was like, because I had the weirdest symptoms.
Stop saying the word, bro. What the fuck's wrong?
We're already flagged, man. It doesn't matter at this point. But
No.
I had the weirdest symptoms. I don't know if I told you. I had like hives all over my body.
I saw. Yeah, you sent me pictures.
Yeah,
You see what I mean? We have to catch up. You don't even remember sending me the pictures. What a fucking crazy conversation we're having. You
Yeah.
see what I'm just making my point. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I had.
So you almost died. Yeah. Continue.
No, I don't know what it was. I just like it was a Tuesday morning. It was a day after going to a water park, and I just had like red swelling welts on my forehead.
Definitely the water park.
So that's what I
It's a
thought.
Cesspool of nonsense.
Definitely. You know, here's the nasty part. So we got home that night, and I did not shower. I was just too tired. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll shower in the morning. That was my logic. So I think that's what happened. It definitely
Dry,
got irritated.
brittle skin.
At the same time, I got COVID, so I think my immune system was just fighting one thing, and just like your normal immune responses to like pathogens on the skin, you'd probably kill it. But I guess I was
Wait,
compromised.
did you rapid test or the other? Or the
No, I
first
went.
one?
So what happened was I went to the hospital because it was getting worse. I took a Benadryl, and then it ended up going all over my arms, and I had a fever. And I'm like, okay. And then my throat started closing. I'm like, yeah, this is an allergic reaction. So
You're like, uh-oh.
So I go to the hospital, and they
I need my throat.
they ended up bringing me in, and they were concerned it could be meningitis. So they fucking stuck a needle in my spine and pulled out.
Oh.
Yeah, they did a spinal tap. They pulled out some spinal fluid, all that shit. And then
It's a good movie, Spinal Tap.
they ran so many tests on me. Everything was negative, and then COVID was the only positive thing.
Well, blow me down.
And then
Spinal Tap. That must have sucked.
yeah, it was not. It was definitely not. So I had a bad fever when I was there. It was like 39.5 or whatever, and
I don't know what that means.
39.5 degrees for my temperature. I think the normal range is like 37, 37.8 is normal. Anything above that's fever. So anyway, so I had like a medium to high fever, but when he put the needle in my back, it broke my fever. I just started sweating like crazy. And then after that, my fever was gone. So it was like
Popped you like a balloon.
literally like a cure.
Yeah.
But
Acupuncture by accident.
yeah.
Just let out some gas. Oh.
Yeah, that was the weirdest part. And then after that, it was just like a normal cold. Really odd symptoms though, because I had like fever every night, but I was full appetite, no cough, no congestion, just a random fever.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like I was eating like 3 meals a day. But oh yeah,
I think you're just a savage.
then maybe that's it.
I don't feel well. Keeps living normally.
Well, that's why it was so misleading, because everything was normal. I was just eating like a normal person. I was a bit tired, but then at nighttime I just get a crazy fever every night for like 4 days.
Oh, interesting.
No cough.
The fever would would go and come back at night?
Yeah. I wouldn't. During the day, I was pretty much good. I just was tired.
But you still had a fever.
No. During the day, no fever.
Oh, wow.
All I had during the day was like a fatigue.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. Like, I'm so confused. I mean, like, I'm glad you're okay, though, in all seriousness. But
Yeah.
what I meant is, like, this is so confusing. I have no idea what we're talking about. Like, I have no...
You got to lay off the weed, brother.
No, but that's not what I mean. I just mean, like, I thought I knew a lot about how the body worked. And after COVID and, like, how... I don't know, like, just new conversations about new things that I just never looked into much have come out. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm talking about. I have just been crushed Humbled is not the word. I'm just like, never mind. Never mind.
Humbled in the sense of what? Like related to COVID or to health or?
Just information.
Mm.
Because people are so specialized, and there's these, like, we're just, I mean, I don't want to use this word badly, but people are tools, you know, like they're blind to other stuff, and they're specialized in things, and you learn languages practically. You build foundations of how to understand certain concepts, or just be fluent or quick with certain things that we do understand, like arithmetic, but like you're just like proficient in ways that are, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like a baby learning the ABCs is what I'm doing. And then they're like reading and writing novels, you know, like they're just at different level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I can't, just would take so much time of focusing on one thing in order to really understand at that level, which is kind of fucked up, because it's kind of like involuntary gatekeeping, because it's just so much knowledge.
Yeah. Well,
It's kind of an accident.
Well, that's where there's experts in fields, which you just find the trusted experts for whatever topic you're looking for. You kind of just...
Yeah, that shit doesn't fly anymore.
Well, I mean, of course it does. It's like if you want to learn... Like, for example, I'm getting more into chess theory lately. So there's a few experts on YouTube who I can just follow along, and I'm learning some high-level chess through these guys. And it's really nothing more than me trusting that this person's an expert, and with the review base of him having a lot of subscribers and comments and stuff like that, that's like a pretty good peer review in terms of the internet, that this guy knows what he's talking about. It's like the market is rewarding him with subscribers and engagement, so clearly his content is decent.
I think we all have a kind of wit now, or a savvy as well, just from being exposed to the internet for a couple of decades. I think we can not only smell bullshit, but like if you can't, that happens. You understand that there's this kind of natural, the good stuff floats to the top. Someone could abuse that in a way, but that just comes and goes like pop music, sort of.
Yeah,
you have
you'll get exposed over time.
Yeah, it just won't work for as long, and other things will just kind of remain.
Well, it's interesting because that trust is way more easy when it's like not a subjective thing. Where it's like more...
It's an educated guess. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the chess one is a great example. I mean, I feel like I'm redundant here to say this, but it's a good point, I guess. Like, how do you say? Like, chess is a game with rules, and people win and lose. Like,
Yeah,
you
like
can
there's a
understand.
structure involved.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if the guy's talking shit, someone would have called him out on it.
Yeah.
If the guy is really good, someone might say it in the comments.
Yeah.
And then blah, blah, blah. You don't continue that logic.
Yeah, I mean, that's
If you're learning from him,
100%.
getting better, then proof's in the pudding.
100%. And it's like...
100 of them.
Yeah, so that's it. So there's like so many things that you can learn just based on trust, because in the end, it's like you don't know these people and you just encounter them on a search, and then you fall into their content. And if it's good stuff, you're going to learn a lot.
Do you feel like you utilize trust to really get the most out of it? Because I have friends who, this one guy was telling me about, you know, like we were talking about education just in general. It's a weird, I like slice of the conversation, but he was talking about auditing. Like, you can go online and you could just like watch Harvard and like crazy classes. You could just learn like in depth and in at high levels, like for business, economics, psychology. I don't know, maybe not. So there's some things maybe that are harder to find. I haven't looked into this yet. I don't know that world, but it would just be cool to, like, a podcast, or like, you know, versus like, it's like I don't know, it's just education, you know, like if I can have that feeling of like being in a room of a bunch of smart people and like listening to them talk.
It's really, yeah.
This is literally a dictation, like what's it called? Seminar?
Yeah.
What's it called when it's a class? When
Well,
the guy's talking?
Yeah. It's
All the dogs farting. There's dog farts.
what's it called when a dictation? I don't know. Like a course.
I don't remember the lecture.
We got to go back to school.
Lecture. No, I just
Yeah.
really, I smoked myself stupid today.
God damn.
As soon
Yeah,
as I
but-
finished work.
But that's, I think it's human nature's default to go to trust. We trust pretty much first, and then we get burned second. And I think it's an actual mechanism, because that's the way we could have evolved. That if we didn't trust anybody, we would never form a society.
But now I feel like that's not needed in this context. We're just learning things online,
Yeah,
and
but
then we don't need trust.
if you're tapping into a course, there's a level of trust. Or like if you click a video that your friend sent you and said, "Yo, check this out," there's already this trust that you've.
I don't think everyone works that way though. I think there's different levels of people. Like I see how I live like in relation to other people's opinion of me, sort of, and like in relation to their suggestions for their own lives and for mine. It feels what I mean to say is that like other people can kind of crack my imagination open about what's possible in my life. Like they give me permission to kind of do things. And that's just me and my way of perceiving life and kind of getting boxed in my own head and my own shit. And a lot of people are worse and a lot of people are better in that regard. And it just really is vis-a-vis people. Like other people will spark things in you. And it's like, is this a complex? Is this bad? Or is this just like you using a kind of, like it doesn't feel like, I don't know, the word trust. I like the example you used about like a friend just being like, hey, watch this. And it's like, the friend might be someone you trust, and then you just give it extra. Like you look at the thumbnail and you go, "I wouldn't usually watch this, but because you sent it to me, I will." Like that kind of idea.
But like what I'm saying though is the content you're watching, whatever it is. Let's say you want to learn a new song on the guitar. You're gonna click some video that you just chose, essentially, and then within a few seconds, you're gonna form a level of trust with the guy who is giving the content. Otherwise, you won't even listen to it or give it that time of day.
You're right. There's this kind of like deciding in the first like 4 seconds.
Yeah,
almost.
like, oh, this guy's full of shit, or oh, this is good content.
And it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Like you said, you'll look at like metrics and stuff, and like I might look at how it's filmed or how it sounds, and someone else might look at, I don't know, like how long it is.
Yeah.
And they might skip through it, and so like the intro doesn't matter as much to them. They just want to see like, does he blab a lot at the beginning? Does he get through it? Like everyone has that different 5 seconds, but it's that 5 seconds is important because you have so many options.
That's first impression, right? That's
that you just go, bye, fuck you. We've all turned into women in the dating scene, you know, like that trope about they have more options.
But it's all,
we just all have that now.
I guess it's all different forms of trust because like,
self-trust, I think. I don't want to get too deep.
Well, no, but it's talking. Like in osteo, this was a really cool test, or I don't know what to call it. It was like a little experiment we did with the class.
Trust fall.
Well, it was like
I was joking, am I right?
No, but it was basically first impressions and like how to present yourself to a client. So what we did, some weird like
interesting.
We did a drill like where the person would sit on the chair like 15 feet away, like one person at a time,
and you judge them.
So basically what you do is we have a line 15 feet away in the chair and the person sitting there. And you would walk towards the chair with your eyes closed and then say stop when you feel like your bubble has been penetrated. So the person on the chair is just sitting there, and then you're walking towards them, and then with your eyes closed, and then you'll stop when you feel like you've entered that person's bubble or they entered your bubble. And every person, it was so interesting. They didn't see who was in front of them because their eyes was closed, like where the person was in the relative space. But there was like different states where people would stop. And there was like starting to be like a theme with different people that were sitting on the chair. Like this one guy was a little bit weird in the class, like just like that kind of energy where he didn't really know personal space well. Like, he's like one of those kind of people that would talk to you and get like their nose to nose kind of conversation. You know, you ever have people like just go face to face with you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You never had that experience?
I'd be like, dude, get out of my zone.
Yeah, like, well, I'm sure people can relate to that. There's some people that just don't understand personal space.
I mean, one guy one time I was talking to him and I was in the car. Yeah. And it's the first time I had met him, but I don't remember, like it wasn't in context at all, but we were talking and he finishes a sentence and he just kind of rubs my cheek.
That's some weird shit.
And I didn't react. And I was like, the fuck did you just do that for? And he was just like, I think he was Greek or something. Like he just wasn't from here. And he was like, maybe it's the country. Maybe it's the, like a different macho in a different, you know what I mean?
That's an excuse for him to touch your cheek.
But dude, it seemed so normal. And I was just like, what the hell was that? And he was like, what? And I was like, you just fucking touched my cheek. He goes, yeah. Like, he was so cool about it. I just went like, okay, look, man, like, I don't like that. But anyway, continue your story.
So anyways, for that guy that was who lacked personal space, knowledge, whatever, he was sitting in the chair.
He had a big bubble.
Yeah, and a lot of people stopped early thinking they were closer to him. So it was really interesting. And it was basically the whole idea is how do you carry yourself and how do you give that first impression, because if you have a new client and then that bubble is blocked, you're not going to even be able to treat them because they won't
Sure.
even let you in.
I've had that sometimes just with massage.
Yeah.
Just people were forcing themselves. I could. What? What's wrong? Oh, there's some kind of insect. Oh, it's a spider. Hi. Oh, are you murdering it?
Yeah.
No.
Where is it?
It's next to the plant there.
Where?
Do you have to kill him?
100%. He's intruding.
Sorry, spider. Oh God. Oh, thanks for what was that?
Sorry, bro.
You just put his corpse all over my fucking body. I'm flicking legs off of me. Jesus. Look at all that blood now. Are you happy?
Sorry, Lily. She's just as scared as I was from the spider.
Isn't it? You see that? I'm not afraid. And I didn't want to kill it. He is afraid and he killed it.
Dude.
Humans.
Yeah.
Humans kill things they're afraid of.
Listen, for me and
Dun,
spiders,
dun, dun.
me and spiders have a very. Speaking about bubbles, that's fucking hilarious because I'm okay with a spider far away from me, but if it was that close, shit's going down.
Far away from me. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm okay with a nuclear explosion if it's far
No,
enough.
but like if the spider was on the wall down there, I'd be okay with it.
Okay, so you don't have a phobia. I could get weird
No,
too.
I
Like
do
I'm
have
not
a phobia,
immune.
but I've worked through it quite a bit.
Oh, okay, yeah, that shows, man.
Yeah.
The fact that that was your reaction and you have an irrational fear of spiders, I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, I definitely put it in the work, but it used to be like I used to scream like a fucking.
Jump on the fucking. My mom goes nuts with like mice.
Hmm.
Her brain turns off and she will climb people. Like it's fucking It's fascinating. It's just to see someone completely lose it,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and then they look at you like that's just me, bro. Take it or leave it. I
pure-
can't control that.
just like a help, like literally a help moment.
Bubbles is what we were talking about before you murdered a spider live on the air.
Yeah, but it's interesting because one of my clients he's in marketing, like he has this company that does marketing ad campaigns, and he was telling me that human nature is to trust. It's like you want to trust, you want to believe, and then it's like I don't know the numbers, but we would trust 95% of the time, even if we kept burned, we still trust for the most part, and then we get burned again. Obviously, that percentage starts to go down, but it's our natures to trust whatever whatever's coming towards us, because it's our natures to go in that default mode. And I think there's an evolutionary reason behind that, but that's where you can get hijacked by people that use that to their advantage. And I guess that's where a lot of shit goes down, where I don't know, like where you can get pushed some shitty product or something because that trust is so prevalent in everyone, you know? But I think it's a good mechanism. I just think you need to have a more critical form of trust. So it's not just blind trust.
I don't even see it as trust, though. I am louder than you. Why am I louder than you?
No idea. Hello?
Fix it.
Anyway, we're just going to keep it like that. I'll fix it for the next episode.
I'll just talk further away.
No, it's fine.
Don't tell me what to do. You're fine.
Okay. What do you see it as then?
Passive aggression. What do I see it as? What, the trust thing?
Mm-hmm.
I see it as...
Because you said you don't think of it as trust.
Yeah, that seems emotional. And it's like you're just...
But humans are pretty much emotional beings.
Let me put it this way. Because I agree with what you just said. I think I realize what I mean now because of what you said about like that gullibility, sort of. And it's like people trust, get burned, and then like it's almost I almost feel like it would be, this is a total theory, but it's like there's this feeling of bitterness, you know, and cynicism that's proportionate to how much you fell for it, how much hope and trust you had at the beginning. And it's almost like the loving and trusting familial like beginnings could be almost a detriment to someone because society is just so sideways that you're going to get fucked by like someone who's not even that mean or trying to fuck you. They're just like trying to sell you, you know? And it's interesting that like to do your son a favor or your daughter a favor would be to like trip them up sometimes. and be like, rely on yourself, rely on your senses, like stay awake,
Hmm.
stay woke, like that song.
So deception deception could be a good thing.
No, but it's like, yeah, you know, it's like instead of learning the hard way, just learn about lying. Learn about the fact that people are not so sensitive to the truth, and that words are very powerful to how we communicate. So if you can just lie, you know, and it's like
But
everyone's going to do it. Everyone does it all the time,
But
consciously or
I
unconsciously.
think that's why we have games. I think games are a way we can learn these muscles.
Yeah, you're right. We're describing
Yeah.
socializing.
Yeah.
You're right.
And like for example, like I'll bring chess up again because it's fresh in my mind. It's like once you start getting good enough, is like you start setting
Nerd.
up, but you start setting up tricks where you want your opponent to think you're doing that, and it's essentially a lie.
Like jujitsu.
Yeah, well, that's the parallels between chess and jiu-jitsu are incredible. It's like I feel like my chess game is going to improve my jiu-jitsu game, but you're pretty much lying to your opponent, or you're selling them a story, and you're hoping they buy into it, and then you pull
It's a
away.
trap.
Yeah, exactly. And I think now that we're talking about this, I really feel like games are, in a sense, are part of our evolution because they train the mind into these concepts without actually burning people in real life.
I guess, so, man, you're so right. I'm just thinking of like a couple. I saw Ramsey recently, and we were playing this game. He's holding the lighter
Yeah.
in his hand, and I'm just trying to like Mr. Miyagi it out of his hand like really fast, like the stone there in those movies, and like eventually, because eventually he turns his head and you can see my shadow. And long story short, right? I don't know. Like I remember I'm trying over and over. I'm getting it like one out of like 10 or 2 out of 10, you know. And eventually I start faking him out because I know he's looking at my shadow, and I just kind of and he goes like fuck, and he drops it, you know. And I just his girlfriend was there, and like she saw what I did, and I was all proud, you know. And it's like that's exactly what you're talking about. Is like I like semi-accidentally stumbled upon how this person was actually thinking, and then I tricked them. I thought I put myself in their shoes, and in a way that for me has always been very real. It opens a door for me of how to think in general. It made me go, oh, like this is empathy. This is what's possible. It's not just like feel what they feel and be a better person. It's like learn from others. Don't just learn. Like if you have to fall down the stairs in order to learn that that's bad. No, you fall down a step and you go, that sucked. And then you see somebody else fall down the stairs. You go, oh, you know, maybe you can make some inference.
For sure. And yeah, so I think that's, now that we're talking about it, I really do feel like that's the role of games, is to kind of teach you life, you know.
Is that what we're doing here too? Is that what we're always doing? Like I don't want to get all crazy meta and like deteriorate
Like
the
this
topic.
existence, you mean? Like our existence?
No, but like the podcast and like friendships and like
100%.
are we always sharpening something endlessly?
I think
And then it gets
so.
dull and sharp, and it's like it's this multi-dimensional knife, right? It's not one thing.
100%. Well, it's like a Swiss blade there with like all the tools.
I like that
Yeah.
because it's still 3D, but it's like it just does. It needs to do a lot for different people, for yourself when you're with people, when you're not, for other people in your life, in the different versions of love.
Well, that's honestly, as I get older through this life experience thing we call life, whatever the fuck this existence is, I really just feel like it's about sharpening as many tools as you can and just constantly exploring new concepts and ideas and trying things.
What do you call it? Tell us in the comments. Heaven, hell,
Yeah.
a crazy school,
But yeah, if this,
something else.
if you do the premise that this is a school, which I fucking 100% believe.
It's the dimension has that property.
Yeah.
The duality is just
Well,
forces you to
you can look at evolution as
brush back and forth.
You can look at evolution as a great model. Is like when you see a child, like a baby, a newborn, they're eager for knowledge. They're eager for absorbing information and trying to replicate it.
Eager in a genuine way. It's a need.
Uncorrupted way. You know, it's like.
It's just, yeah, and I mean we have that too sometimes, but maybe corrupted. Yeah, maybe sometimes it's like it's pointed towards video games and candy, but it's. I love the word you. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just love that like there's this unadulterated, really innocent version of like eager curiosity.
Yeah.
And it seems like a need. Like they're hungry. Like they need to survive. They need to learn everything.
And yeah, if you look at our even as the body of a baby, it's like it's so helpless that
It's so squishy. Why are their heads so soft? I'm so afraid.
it needs to
Ugh.
learn as fast as possible the correct information to survive. You know, it needs to learn that, oh, that's hot, that's gonna burn, this is dangerous. Oh, if I drop this, it actually falls, and if I bang my head, you know, like these are the like fundamental learning blocks for an infant to become an adult or to a young adult. And then the things that make you navigate reality obviously get way more complex. But it's very interesting to see that it's really, we are just sponges that want to collect information to navigate this reality. So
Survival.
why does that end at a specific time? Like some people just stop learning at some point, or they continue learning, but it's more repetitive and more unconscious. You know, it's not like they're consciously seeking more information.
I mean, I see what you said about how it applies to how we got here in a sense, but I don't feel like in an individual sense, everyone really has to hunker down and keep growing. I feel like there was this really cool show. I brought it up a million times, but it was called The Good Place. And essentially, I'm bringing it up because, like, everyone was in the afterlife. They were in heaven, and they just had everything they could do that they wanted to do. So, they lived that very differently between each other, and one person just wanted to learn everything. And you could see, like, she had a list of, like, 1 billion things, literally. Like, millions of things. And she was just like, oh, I learned how to be a woodworking master. I learned how to swim with the sharks. I learned how to, And I just feel like not everyone has that, but there is a need for kind of, like, consistent motion or like or change, like we crave it almost.
Yeah. And
I feel like that comes on for everybody, but in very different ways. And I'm feeling it right now, so I'm really trying not to project it and to make it feel like humans need to do this, and I just need to do it.
but it. Let me correct something. It's not that you need to do a bunch of different things to gain knowledge. It's you could be the master table maker, for example, if that's your thing. And what I'm saying is not that you have to constantly seek more and more information. It's just whatever craft you're doing is never get into that state of, I would call it even like the plateau state, where things are just stagnation and stagnant and not much addition over year. But having that childlike mind in whatever craft it is, like some people just like love learning thousands of new things. I'm kind of on that spectrum a little bit. I really like to explore new concepts, but there's something beautiful about zoning in on one craft and just being a master at it. But to become a master is you have to always have that childlike mentality where you're eager to learn and grow from that in that one specific thing,
I don't really relate, honestly.
Interesting.
It's weird. I don't know what to do with that. I mean, I know what that used to feel like, but it never lasted long even as a child. And it's just, there's things that are...
But I feel like you're the type that likes to learn a bunch of different things.
I do, but I think... I again, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's hard to assess oneself. But I feel like I have, let's say, a vision of the world or like an idea of reality. And I just keep adding to that in kind of connections. So what I know and what I don't, or what I think I know, some things are more solid than others. Hopefully none of it is too solid and I'm just gaining new information and shifting like that. But I feel like I'm always just looking into concepts and just trying to understand if something has a value in what I desire or what I need in the moment, or if it's just something interesting. But even that interest fades quickly because I hate to sound so cynical, but it really is what I do. And I put things become kind of categorical and I just go, oh, okay. And I don't want to dismiss, but that is what happens a lot. I think it's just an attitude. It's a bad attitude because I end up thinking this is personal to myself, but it's really not everybody. This is more of like a disordered trait, but I don't know. I get nihilistic almost. And I just go like, what's the point really? It's like reductionism. But that's just me personally. I feel like we lost the thread, though. Why did you bring up the childlike thing?
Well,
what were we talking about before?
The whole thing that I was saying was that in any craft you do, whatever it is you do, is it important to never become like what's another word?
Complacent.
Complacent's a good word, but like when you plateau into something, I think it's when there's no changes, there's no addition, and it just becomes this repetitive motion, and then over time you actually are deteriorating. But if you're constantly sharpening and growing it, whether it's a bunch of things or one thing, then that's like that childlike energy is going to always be there.
What did we say that prompted that?
Bring it back, Jamie.
I'm
Well, we were talking about just I don't know, seeking knowledge and stuff.
and let's call it socializing, kind of.
Oh, yeah, because
the
we were talking
way at
about-
the beginning.
Oh yeah, because I was talking about the if you look at evolution as a model, a kid is so eager to learn and so eager to try to understand this physical existence, and by learning things, it's going to navigate more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I feel that's why I wanted to go back to, because I feel like they're kind of separate. I see what you're saying, but there's like, we're talking about trust in this kind of evolutionary way that everyone's kind of born gullible, and we become bittered. We become embittered, and it's like, oh, okay, this person might hurt me like that other person did once, and it's kind of a good thing, because nature and like gravity, things trick you, things you fuck up, and like you said, you get burned and you have to try. So we're always in this state of socialization, of like becoming most human, and it's kind of like, I guess you lose me, maybe because it's a cliche. I'm saying what you're saying. It's kind of funny, but I'm just not saying the childlike thing, because that feels less accessible than it used to. I feel like I'm trying to grab something that I don't understand anymore, because I've always been that kid. I've just grown. I've changed. We're all really still that person in a lot of ways.
100%.
And in many ways we're not. That's
all
fascinating.
All of our patterns were connected and intertwined from that moment. So
And we shed patterns, we reconnect, like two patterns become one, so those two vanish and then we have a new one. It's confusing. Like, life is weird like that. I don't want to get into the fucking weird metaphysics of like our habits and our routines. We remember when we used to talk about that? Like, we had one podcast we were talking about, like, if you left a light trail, like what would you like your, what would be like your mandala, like on Google Maps?
or like if it was if like your movements were tracked, like in a shape.
Like those people who do dicks or like dinosaurs or something on those bicycle apps.
I think about that conversation at least once a month. I'm not even kidding, because like
It's come up
but that's
for me
that's
too.
that's a great way to tie it in, because if you look at your life from an aerial view, as if you can just see your avatar going through life in all different movements, I catch myself a lot of times doing the same thing every day. Like, I'll take Lily down the same route, and if you looked at my shape, I'm doing a fucking square for 365 days a year in the same block. Now imagine the brain patterns that are not being triggered or changed, and it's just getting stronger and stronger over the years. That's what I was talking about with stagnation and all this. Like, over time, that just becomes a repetitive cycle, and there's no new neural connections. So changing that up with that childlike mentality of just like, oh, let's try this route today, or let's do it in reverse, or let's go left instead of right. And that's just like a different example. Like, you can use that in a craft, but for this, it's a good one, walking Lily.
But it's really truly seeking the new.
Yeah.
Not seeing things as new. You know, that's kind of like the deeper philosophical, spiritual, behold, I make all things new, like a Christian thing.
It's about changing
It's like
the
actually,
angles.
change the, shake the dust.
Exactly.
I gotta,
You know,
it's so funny. I never forget his name. It's like the fourth time on this
Shake the
podcast. I'm like,
dust.
what's his name?
That's the name of this podcast, Shake the Dust. But, you know, like Charlotte, my ex, one thing I really...
Hi, Charlotte.
Hey, Char. One thing I really... Well, there's a lot of things, but one thing I was really admiring about her was every few months she would rearrange her place. And she was doing that here for
I've
a
been
while.
thinking about that too lately.
Like, so my living room, the TV was on the left. She would move it to the right, move the couches on the left. It would re-angle this. Okay, we'll try this. Put the carpet here. And then all of a sudden...
New ideas.
New ideas started forming, and then
A new way of seeing life.
New way of seeing life. It was a new apartment, and
New way of being.
I
New
had
way
to
of
kind
feeling.
of readjust my entire existence in this apartment. It was like, oh, okay, so I'm used to going to sit on the couch maybe 100 days out of the year. The couch is there. I know my seat. I'm going to sit there. And all of a sudden, my couch is on the fucking left, and now I have to rethink my entire room, entire space.
It's underestimated, man. I literally thought of that also recently. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast. My upstairs neighbor she doesn't live there anymore. Like, she used to rearrange the place about once a week. And I mean, it's a funny joke because she's upstairs and it's like noisy, but that's not the point. The point is, I mean, that girl was smart and really successful and like an academic, and I just liked that she had trouble like anybody else. You know, there was nothing special about her. She just put in the work,
Yeah.
and that was one of the things I saw value in that as a practice for her. Like she forced it upon herself, sort of, because no one likes that. She has to move her
No,
body
it's a
around,
hassle.
she lives alone too. She's moving the couch, the bed. It's an opportunity to clean everything as well.
Well, some people find it meditative.
I'm sure you can learn to love it. You know, wear the suit, as a
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie said. But
Sorry.
what was I gonna say? No, I don't fully understand why it works, and I hate that because I usually loved explaining things, explaining mechanisms, at least having a theory. But truly, I don't care anymore, like why it works. If your room or your apartment or your whatever, your way to work or if you change these things every now and then not only do you get new ideas in terms of, oh shit, if the bed's over here, the light hits like this, and like you actually might find things you like, you learn about yourself, all that stuff's there. But for some fucking reason, you just start thinking differently. You just get this different space. I don't know if it's like the walk to the bathroom from the couch is different. It's a different amount of steps now. You take different angles, turning around the corner, and like it's little stuff like that. Yeah. Suddenly, your entire body has to use different nerves and like different channels, and like their circadian rhythm is like a little bit different. And I don't, again, I could try to explain it, but fuck, man. But like the value of cacophony is something we've talked about a lot.
It's easy to explain if you really think about it. It's because the mind goes into this.
Sorry for all the.
Yeah, the mind goes into a state of autopilot over time. It's like driving home.
Got the pasties.
You know, like most people, they take the same route home. It's like second nature. They can, I'm sure.
Well, on the phone, yeah, but ideally not. But yeah, you're daydreaming.
People will take their phone and they'll text on the way home.
You can have a conversation.
You can literally have a conversation because you know the route so well.
Can't do that shit in other countries, though.
Well, in general, or just because
no, I mean the way they drive.
Yeah, okay. But what I mean though is just you know the route, so your brain can kind of tune out into like a meditative state in a sense. What's that state of mind? Times. Veda state. What's that state where you're like in a hypnosis almost, where it's like.
I had it wrong actually. I don't want to speak on it because I remember so like alpha and beta.
A hypnotic state in a sense where you're just like you're just like going through the motions because you know the motions for 100, maybe 1,000 plus times. So when you change this positioning of your couch or the TV and that, now you can't do that because you're gonna bump into the wall or something. So now your brain is literally readjusting and now relearning a new pattern of movement of space.
It's almost like our lives have become so easy that we have to challenge ourselves in order to not get sick, because that's what our biology is designed for.
Well, think of what a gym is.
Yeah, no, but it really is the same.
Think of a fitness, like you didn't need to do that back then because you would just be fucking picking up like a farmer's strength is a real thing. They would just pick up the. I know, but think
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, but now we do controlled environments to get our health up.
But think about this, okay? Picture I don't know why I'm seeing the colors of this fucking brain. Someone's driving, okay? It's from work. I've done this. I've had that drive. You know, I used to drive like to the metro and something like that. Man, you got one arm sticking out, you know, and you're just like your brain like conserves energy. It's like it knows. It's just osmosis. It doesn't even know. It just is. It's just like these pathways are thick and rigid, bro. It just starts conserving energy and just going, okay, we're driving home. It doesn't need to do anything. You've done it a bajillion times.
Yeah.
And then you have so much like resource that your brain starts like wandering. It's like you can think again, you can be again. So now your body, like things are happening. You're not going to crash. You're driving. You're not present. Exactly. But part of you is driving. Yeah. Part of you's in the back seat reading a fucking magazine, sort of. What? But that's so cool though. Is that like
it's very cool, but I think that pattern year over year, I think that creates a lot of pathologies in the future. I think
it's like inflammation. I see it as inflammation. It's something that's good. It's something that is there for a reason. Mm-hmm. But if it goes overboard, you're fucking yourself so hard.
I think that's where there's no scientific backup for this, but it makes sense if you think about it. I think that's where like dementia will come from, and I think not just dementia, but like Alzheimer's.
There's actually a lot of science about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do studies about people who stave off dementia with like my mom. That's why my mom does crossword puzzles. It's
stay
like
mentally sharp.
keep shit sharp. Yeah. I don't know how.
But I don't think it's just crossword puzzles would be enough, but it's like changing your actual patterns and challenging yourself. And that's where I'm bringing back the seeking and learning new things, or
Yeah.
just fine-tuning what you already know, but always testing that mind, because that pattern is not just for driving and not just for walking from your couch to the bathroom, but it's for everything in life becomes rigid and repetitive. And it's like you can change just by like wearing a colored shirt one day, like a yellow shirt that you never wear. All of a sudden you're like, what the fuck, I'm wearing a yellow shirt. And that just like cacophonies your whole existence. And I think cacophony is literally the secret to keeping your mind mentally fit and young.
Let's test it out, man.
I'm good.
It makes me happy,
Yeah.
so we may as well do it. It's like if someone said, "Hey, well, it's like you're like weed helps with glaucoma." You're like, "Okay, I'll smoke weed." You're like, "Fuck it."
But I think it just because like I'm noticing now, because like I've been playing chess for I'll use chess third time I'm using this example. But when
Bro, stop talking about chess.
yeah, I'm such a fucking nerd. You
This
know, if
guy.
you told me in my 20s
Why don't you marry chess?
when I was like 18.
You like it so much.
Actually, you know what? When I was 18ish, I still love chess. So you know, fuck
Yeah,
it.
you told me you've been playing it forever, man.
Yeah.
Let it
But
go.
only now I'm actually focusing on theory, and now I'm seeing things that I've been playing this game for so many years, and now all of a sudden it's like there's a whole new dimension I never even went into.
But it's plugging into your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
now
lovely.
I feel like I'm getting smarter, and I feel that there's just like a whole new pathway of information I can learn now. And it's just because I started asking deeper questions.
It's yeah. We could talk about the value of those specific, detailed actions you took, but your point is that you did something different. You shook the
I
dust.
shook the dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And you can do that
that's-
for anything.
And kind of should. I mean, like
Yeah.
go down the different path on the way home, like little stuff like that. That feels silly sometimes. It's like it becomes lifesavers when you're like depressed or something. It's like go just get some sunlight. Go do this. Go do that. It's
100%.
like go change everything. If you're depressed, change everything.
100%.
Nothing's working for you right now. Go. You don't talk to your parents. Talk to them. You talk to them. Don't talk to them. You know, like just do the opposite. Go opposite day.
If you look at it like a computer.
Oh my
it's like,
God! Is that why opposite day exists?
God, then we gotta bring back opposite.
We gotta bring back opposite day.
But that game got fucking annoying because it was, well, that was a kid's game. They would just say something like super mean, but they meant
Yeah. And they're like, oh, it's
It's
opposite day. It's like I
opposite
love you, but it's opposite day.
something. Oh.
He doesn't love me. No.
Speaking of, during COVID, when I was sick, you know what show I was watching?
What?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I love you so much right now.
It was nostalgic, but it's also a fucking amazing show.
Yeah, it aged
And
surprisingly well.
super well.
Joss Whedon's a good writer. And whoever else worked on that show. I just know the one guy.
But the whole concept was like, I don't know where this ties in, but like rewatching the show with a new, like a more mature mind. Like when I was a young kid, I didn't understand the real concepts of each episode and the theme, but it's a very deep show. It's a very, very.
I think I know why you brought it up, though. I think there's how do I say this? It's technically nostalgia, and so you're feeling like it's not cacophony, it's not shaking the dust. But the fact is, it's so far back in your life, and it creates that feeling of this pure nostalgia mixed with, like you're saying, this oh shit, like who am I now? How am I seeing this show now anew? And there's so much value in it when you look at it that way. And it's cool to think of it like the behold, I make all things new thing that we said before is like you kind of start gaining that attitude. You don't pretend and fake it till you make it. You cacophony yourself into realizing, oh, this is way better.
Yeah.
And then you start putting a smile on and going, this is fun. Let's be enthusiastic. It's just going to change in 5 seconds anyway. Like it's like,
It's true.
yeah.
So, but then let me ask you this: is there value in ritual then? If we're talking about changing everything and always adding new elements, but ritual in essence is doing the same thing in repetitive movement. Is there there is obviously value in that, but where does that play in this conversation?
I think there's value in what I said about being in that state of mind when you're driving. I think there's value in that. I think it's an evolutionary byproduct of like becoming a master. Like that we have the capacity to learn so much so well, be so tuned to an action, to a series of actions, to a series of thoughts, to like anything. We can condition ourselves, even to do complex mathematics eventually. Things become instinct or close to it. And I fucking think that's really valuable, but it can very much be a double-edged sword. It is, obviously. We are drowning in serotonin in our fucking society right now. And it's literally like people think there's a distant future where we're going to be utopic and we're going to crash because we don't understand how the world works, and that we're going to kill ourselves in the famine and whatever the hell. It's happening now. Life is crazy awesome in these stupid Western worlds where we could push a button and fucking food comes to our house and all this shit. We're interesting. I could hear myself breathe in and like whistle like almost like asthma.
Right, gotta check your asthma, bro.
Check your asthma, bro, before you wreck your asthma.
So what I think I kind of answered my own question in my head, but ritual is a good thing.
Sorry.
But what you need to add into ritual is presence, because you can go through the motions. If you're going down the same route every day and you don't do what we're saying about changing the route, at least becoming fully present in that moment.
Remember what Guy said about tradition?
Mm.
I think that's important here also. It's like ritual has a value there, but like, why are you doing it? Maybe part of the ritual should be questioning the ritual every single time you do it, so that it is also new every time, so that you choose to wear the suit every time. You don't do it blindly. You don't do it and you don't go into that fucking low alpha brain, driving brain. You don't ever. Every time it's fresh, but you're watching yourself get cleaner and cleaner at it. It's becoming second nature, and it just becomes a struggle at some point.
So maybe then it isn't a good thing to go into that autopilot moment.
I think it's hard to avoid, though. I think we just get bored. I think our brains are built that way.
But that's where
different people,
you
different
can bring
folks,
attention
different
into everything
strokes.
you do.
Can you though?
Well, if you think of religion in terms of a framework for living your life, saying a prayer before every meal, washing, like in the Jewish religion, you wash your hands, you do a special way of washing your hands before every meal. You have to do a prayer before eating anything.
I have a solution. Because you reminded me of something. I've started doing this now too, finally, because I love this practice. But at night, I review my day. Finally. I love this.
Interesting.
My memory of what happened is better. My appreciation for the things I did are better, are thicker, are longer lasting. And the lessons, what would I have done? You know, you let all of it go too, you know? But the point is that I have a ritual now. I have some kind of practice, but I maybe not call it a ritual because the content is different every time.
Mm-hmm.
But the ritual, so to speak, is that, I don't know, at night in the shower before I go to bed or somewhere, somehow, I pick a time and I just do the thing. The thing is very unique every time, but the goal is the same. The practice is the same, essentially. It's not like yoga where the postures might be very similar from day to day. But it is like yoga in the sense that you're not going to feel the same from day to day or something like that. So maybe that's the point. Is like you watched Buffy again, so you're meeting a new part of yourself. If you watch it all back to back again, it might not feel like it, but you are meeting another part of yourself. Mm-hmm. I read a book once. I loved it so much. I just started reading it again, and when I finished it, and it felt new. I think I just was enjoying it so much. I really just liked it, and that's kind of what love feels like. You know, like you could just listen to somebody talk and you're like, this person's cool. You know, like everything they say, like that's fun. And you just feel fresh. You don't have to try.
Yeah.
I mean, trying's not bad though. I don't want to demonize that. Getting there is what's important. But sometimes it needs a little zhuzh and it's not there, and then you got to manufacture it, and that can feel crappy sometimes. But now we're getting into another topic, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean,
just the pitfalls, you know, like the expectations, but whatever. We're all adults here, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, though, because it is meeting a part of yourself when you go back through things that you've done or have seen and then retrace your steps in a sense. But it's always a little bit different. But I think the underlying thing to all these things we're talking about is the fact that bringing presence into whatever you're doing.
I said this to... It might have been Farah, actually. I don't remember now. But I've said this a lot in the past because I realized it like a few years ago, and I've been obsessed with it. And it's surprisingly, it holds true often, but it's this funny rule to say that any decent advice, any good advice or advice that lands is essentially going to boil down to pay attention.
It really is.
It's really funny when you, now that you see it, you can't unsee it.
But that's like the essence of spiritual practice.
It's like wake the fuck up. Like keep slapping yourself with love. Yeah. Like just, come on, you could do it. I love you. Wake up. Stop it.
It really does break down to just paying attention, you know?
It's so foundational to everything.
But I think that's where if you change your way home, for example, it forces you to be present because you don't know your way home, or you don't know this route, or if you put your couch where your fucking TV used to be, you don't know. Well, obviously, you still know where the TV is, but your body
doesn't exactly.
And then you have to pay attention to that.
There's a value to it, maybe even beyond. Like, what if going the second, like the next day, you go back to the route that you usually go, but now it feels fresh in some way. Now you're thinking about it in a different way because you have new references. Now you saw that mailbox you've never seen, or that new store or something, or you see some people walking by, and you're like, hey, I've seen them near my place, and maybe, who knows? You know, you're just seeing things. You're looking, literally, like you said, your body, like your nervous system, your neck is going to make different movements.
But you know how fast that pattern forms of just getting used to something? It's like...
Dude, we're superstitious animals, man. It's just the way it is.
Think about this. Like, everyone in the world is going to relate to this, what I'm about to say. And you will too. Let's say you're going to a new location, okay, and it's a walking distance. It's going to feel way faster going back from that location to where you are now than from you going to this... from where you are now to the location.
Interesting.
So if I'm going to Sammy's house, I'm walking there and I make
less reference.
Yeah, I'm walking your house for the first time ever. It's fucking brand new to me. It actually feels pretty long. And then I leave your house and walk back home. It's going to feel twice as fast. I don't know if twice as fast, but it's going to feel way faster going back home.
I see what you're saying, though. I feel what you're saying.
And that's how fast that pattern forms. And now if I walk to your house the next day, it's probably going to still be...
because that's the first time you take that path.
Yeah.
I don't know, but to be fair, the first time you do something, it's like you break it and you. But I know what you're saying. I mean, like, it's the fact. It's the fact that it's cacophony.
Route
to
your house, but in reverse, it's going to be faster in my mind because I'm already understanding the fucking. I already have reference points, and
you're less stressed.
Yeah.
You're paying less attention. You're like, oh yeah, I was down this road before. Now, now the brain goes to those colors, like I talked about. Now you start talking.
And it starts settling. In. And if I do that to your house every day for a month, then it's just going to be second nature.
Isn't that anxiety though? Like for me, like that like, okay, I'm turning my brain off, and then it's like when you sleep and your body goes, oh, we're falling, and you're like, dude, I'm not falling. Like my I do that when I'm awake. I go, what am I forgetting? Like I just have this what am I forgetting moment.
Anxiety is a byproduct. It's not. That is.
I think I don't have to interpret it that way. I think it's good to just be like checking. Yeah. Like my body just goes, hey, it's been a while. Like, didn't you have to turn left there? Like that's not necessarily anxiety. I don't have to interpret it that way.
No, it's caution.
It's just blip. It's like, hey, dude, like my brain just goes, oh, you know, like maybe it's kind of what like we talked about, you know, like learning and getting a bitterness sort of. So it can be a negative feeling because it's like, oh, did the bad thing happen again? Am I too late now? And it's like, no, it's you're worried because you've learned. Yeah. Check, look left and right before you cross the road, kind of thing. And it's funny, man. Yes. And it's like the shoes. You know, I've always said this to you, but like you probably put on, like let's say you put on your left shoe before you put on your right shoe. Yeah. Like I see you doing that, and then I would say you probably do that 99% of the time. And if you realize that, like now, sometimes I put my right shoe on first on purpose, and it feels longer.
There you go.
Just like you said, yeah, it feels because it's clunkier, and I have more stress.
Is the point of this whole thing to constantly just fuck with yourself?
So that you have a longer life? If you're confused, you're immortal.
Like
that's what we learned today.
I'm going to eat with my fucking left hand with the fork instead of my right hand.
I did that all the time. I'm almost ambidextrous.
Oh, yeah. Okay. See, like I started brushing my teeth with my other hand, and it's just fucking weird.
Yeah, they say it's a sign of brain damage.
What is?
That I can do that.
Really?
Yeah. So kudos to you, sir.
Smash my head in the wall a few times. It doesn't feel like brain damage. It feels like the reverse.
No, my friend. Well,
I feel like I'm the brain damaged one.
That's just. I mean, that's like I didn't read a study or something. I just heard that somewhere. Well, but the girl knew what she was talking about. Usually, she had like a slew of things.
So you trust her?
I do. Well, she has Tourette's syndrome.
See how the trust works?
Yeah.
You heard a phrase from a YouTuber, and then now it's a fact in your mind.
It's a talking point. Nothing are facts to me. I don't even believe you exist, man.
That's fair.
I don't believe I exist. But I'm not sure we're in this room right now.
That is the ultimate cacophony of just fucking with yourself with this reality.
I know, but that's my norm. I don't dipstick that feeling often. It's like too much, man. Dude, I would just be like, huh?
So
how about that?
This is so funny how this ties in. But today I was massaging my client that I see every 2 weeks, and somehow something was different about the room I massaged her in. It was at her house.
Are we still recording, by the way?
Yeah, we're still good.
Okay.
So the mirror was facing it was repositioned.
Uh-huh.
Like facing me. So the table's here. Usually the mirror's in the corner.
And you just see yourself and you're weirded out.
And so I don't know if you do this too or if the listeners do this too, but
Tell us in the comments.
Young, I would look in the mirror, and as soon as I lock eyes with myself, it's the weirdest fucking thing. Like,
you're like, huh?
No, it's like instant. Who are you? Who
Yeah.
the fuck are you?
Who's that guy? What the
Who
fuck?
are you? And then it's like, I know who you are. And then we're having this fucking.
And you're like, wait, did I say that or did he say that?
And then we like I make a funny face, and then I can't stop making funny faces, and I'm just massaging or looking at myself like.
Having this fucking existential meltdown.
I would have to look away from the mirror, but usually it's in the corner, so I would only
That's so
see
funny.
myself once in a blue moon because I look up, oh, there I am, and then I do this whole charade for fucking.
I
30
kind of know
seconds.
what you mean, though. It's really funny.
But this fucking mirror was right in front of me, so I was fucking with myself the whole massage, and I'm just like, dude, if someone saw me, I'm like a total crazy person right now.
Yeah, I love that. When you don't realize what you're doing with your face, and then you realize someone's watching you. That's comedy gold.
No one was watching me, thankfully, but
You were watching you.
But I was literally that
Your
whole
reflection.
moment was cacophoning my life. You know, like
That is a weird thing, though. Like, I feel like that specific thing is like you
the
touched
mirror
on
thing?
something. Yeah.
yeah, I don't understand.
It's
it.
like we look at stuff on us. We instantly know this is like a reflection, and we just use it as like a rear view mirror to check our stuff to make sure that we look good. But then you look in your eyes, and you're like,
that's literally.
you're just like,
fucks me.
it's just you, and there's some kind of.
I don't recognize the person. That's what's the scariest thing. It's like I see you, but I don't know what this is. Like I see you,
Yeah.
but this physical thing is like what the fuck is this thing I'm wearing? Like that's every time I look in a mirror, that's the first thing that pops in my head.
I wonder if everyone relates a little bit.
But not like a mirror where I'm checking myself in the morning because there's a task involved. I'm talking
Mhm.
about like encountering a reflection when you weren't expecting it.
We're expecting it or not, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I feel like,
But like when I look in the mirror in the morning, I don't have that reaction.
but like
Or
I said,
maybe
you're not
I
looking
do.
in the eyes.
Or maybe
You're
yeah,
busy.
you're
That's
right.
my point. You're just distracted.
You're
But
right.
if like some people might listen to us and go, no, it doesn't happen to me, but
Mm.
they're not realizing perhaps that they don't really just look in the mirror to look at themselves
Mm.
and to kind of just let the space be, like in a meditative way.
Whoa, this is a
You don't have to. It is
Yeah.
because it's intense. It's
Yeah.
like looking in anybody's eyes, but like I don't know, like with people, it's like a physical danger. You know, and this Canadian kind of like, oh, look away, or like,
Yeah.
I was thinking of that today. Like it'd be fun if there was a country where it's rude not to look in people's eyes, and everyone's passing by and just checking and going like, "You gonna fucking kill me? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You got a weapon? Okay, we all know each other's intentions. They're just looking at everybody." I forgot my point. Let's say
No,
the
but
mirror and the.
But like, because we're usually looking in the mirror when we have like an objective or we're looking at something, but to look at our own eyes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like actually go and do it and just sit there
Well,
because.
there's a whole meditation practice, so you just stare at yourself in the
Oh
mirror.
yeah, I'm not surprised. I forgot about that. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. Someone once told me, like, you lack self-compassion, and the next time you're crying, just go in the mirror and look at yourself. And I was like, that sounds so uncomfortable. And I did it, and it instantly relieved the discomfort. It's not like I had like a love and pity for myself or something. I just kind of saw myself, and I was like, oh, I'm a human. I'm crying right now. Like I wouldn't feel bad if someone else was doing this.
But you see, for me,
And it just clicked something off.
for me, it doesn't really work unless it's a surprise.
Wow.
And that's what I've
Wow,
noticed
wow.
because I've tried to recreate that scenario by staring at myself in the mirror.
I think you could just meditate it in.
Mm.
Because if you're looking there and trying to manifest it, and you're like, okay, I'm doing this with the intention of like creating some existential thing, some experience about I don't know what. It's like, no, man, just be there, but actually keep looking and let the intensity just kind of come to you.
But
If it doesn't, it doesn't, but I think it will.
I think the value, though, is also
The value.
letting it happen as a cacophony, as a surprise that shakes you out of your bubble. Because massage is a great example because you go through the motion. Sometimes you're not fully present.
It's
Like-
it's your gig.
Yeah, it's like
You've
it's
been
like
there
I
1,000
soothe,
times.
like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I know the movement, and then I see the mirror, and I'm just like, imposter. Who are you? And now I'm just focusing on just first. I'm looking at myself like, who the fuck are you?
Also, you've never seen yourself massage someone in a certain angle, in a certain way.
Well, yeah,
It's weird.
There's so many times, different clients, like there's mirrors, and that same thing happened. Like it's been
Every
happening,
time. Interesting.
dude. It's
It's a little wink
this
from
whole
the
mirror
universe.
thing. Like it even happened once in a restaurant, like years ago. I was just talking to someone, and I look, and I see myself in the mirror, and I'm just talking, and I just, I would just like look at myself, and then after let's say the break in between conversations, or there's a low moment of the conversation, I would just look in the mirror, and I'm just like for maybe 30 seconds, just internal panic. Who the fuck are you? Where the fuck are you? And then I turn back. I would turn back and just continue the conversation, but there was a little moment of freak out. But I think that's fucking
Pearl,
good to have that shit, man.
scared of spiders and mirrors.
It's not a fear though.
I know. I'm just fucking around.
It's just a moment where
Well, it's an oddity. You
It's
know,
like-
it's eerie
you know
to
what,
you.
You know what it is? It's the deepest layer of presence.
I guess you're just connecting with yourself
It's
in a way
It's-
you're not used to. Like you're just like, oh shit, I'm here. Like this is I'm in a meat suit. I'm a ghost thing riding
yeah,
this
the
thing. Like
deepest layer of presence. Because
yeah.
there's nowhere to hide in that moment. It's like, and then everything is just
Why do you want to do rapping so much? Just go stare in the mirror, bro.
But it has to be a surprise factor.
That's true. It's not the same for you. I forgot.
Like no, but I can probably achieve it through meditation. But I like the fact that it's a surprise. Look,
I
as
feel
much as
you.
it's unpleasant to have these moments, because it is unpleasant, because
But it's
sometimes I really
cacophonous.
need to focus
Oh,
in the
yeah,
conversation
okay.
or something, and then there's a mirror on my left,
Mhm.
and now I have the abyss on my left, and I know it's there. You know, it's like a literally like an accessible psychedelic moment that I can't ignore because
You
it's
almost hear like
calling me.
Nate.
Yeah.
Nate, turn your head.
It's like shut up. And
It's
I'm like,
me.
Who are you talking to?
It's you. It's us.
So I do
Don't
like
ignore me, Nate.
I do like that moment of cacophony, and that anytime there's a mirror around, I'll fall into that trap, and it's kind of cool.
Remember that I used to tell you about the game that I play, where I suddenly pretend that I'm like an alien that like took over my body, and I just have like my own experience, my memories and everything. It's kind of like K-Pax, and I have these little things all around my apartment that remind me to do that. And it's funny because I need to move them around because they're kind of invisible now. It's kind of I gotta shake the dust, but it's literally this like I'm looking. I feel like I know the feeling that you're saying more because of that thing that I just happen to be doing in my life as well. It's just this thing of like I want to kind of I'm inducing like cacophony. I'm just going brrrr, and it's like it's almost like you'd need to put mirrors all over your house and just be like, "Who the what am I?"
But you know, this used to only be it used to only be native to mirrors.
Native.
But now, ever since
That's
I
his
started dabbling into the psychedelic realms, this happens more and more often now. If I'm looking at a wide range of greenery, like if I see like a nice landscape, I have that same feeling. If I see someone with like a crazy patterned t-shirt, usually, or like a dress shirt, it brings me into that state of like don't know where I am and don't know who this is and what this is, and I have to kind of reconstruct reality. I get it now. If I look at like a psychedelic picture like the one on the wall there, it brings me into that same mindset if I looked at myself in the mirror. Like I'm a little bit more controlled because it's not calling to me the same way the mirror would.
I know what you mean because I have another thing from Shashi, and it's
Yeah.
like it's really well done how it's like reflecting those realms, and it's almost like there's
the
this
fractal
movement
nature of it, right?
and these beings that are like individual but also integrated into some bigger thing, and it's like, what's your life like, man?
But
It's
I don't
so
think,
trippy.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been the case had I never experienced psychedelics. I think those doors wouldn't have been open for me.
Probably not. Well, maybe.
I don't know. Because I remember after my first mushroom trip, I never noticed trees like I do now. Like ever since that first trip, I literally get blown away from trees. If I go outside and I see down in the beautiful greenery, I'm in awe. And it changed. I remember specifically after that first mushroom trip, I was so in tune with nature after that. And every time since, from when I was 19.
Nature. Sorry.
18, yeah. Nate is and everything. When I was 18 was my first
18.
mushroom trip.
I'm sorry.
18.
I was just waiting for you
But
to
that
say
was my
it.
first mushroom trip was when I was around 18, and nature just calls out to me now. So
I respect what you're saying, man. The fucking like there's so much that people, like so many people who take psychedelics say that like you just have you get these feelings, you get stuff brought down to earth, and it's like, oh, I feel something in my body, for better or worse sometimes, but like you have a visceral experience that can kind of be activated now.
Exactly.
That just wasn't there before.
Exactly. And
How long have we been doing this?
no idea. We'll close it up soon. Just
All right.
I wanted to just put this point in. It's like
No, we're done. Curious shit. No, I'm kidding.
But because of psychedelics, I think the Aldous Huxley idea
Doors
of
of perception. Yeah.
the doors of perception, that idea, I think it really is true, because you can wear, and I see this a lot with like pinstriped suits, but even more so like those plaid or like super like those very small checkered patterns, where it's like most colors are usually like reddish blue. It's like a white reddish blue, like checkers. If I see someone wearing that, kind of like my coffee mug there, kind of like the coffee mug. Hey.
I think she was dreaming. She's probably dreaming.
But like the mug kind of pattern will bring me into a psychedelic state.
That flannel look.
Yeah, like
That
exactly.
lumberjack plaid.
It will pull
whatever.
me into that state of mind, and it's never been the case pre-psychedelics.
Plaid. Argyle.
I used to think it broke my brain a little bit, but then I realized it's just I just have access to that state of mind.
Hey, Lily. I'll never forget it, man. I probably told you about it. I mean, but no details aside though. Like I remember taking ecstasy. Probably my first hard drug, you know, and just that. Lily, stop. We love you, but you're a bad guard dog.
My dog's panicking at nothing.
She's wagging her tail.
Yeah.
You just want to go outside, eh? Okay. Before I knew what the doors were, you know, before I understood that concept, I just had this natural inclination, this understanding or maybe it's just kind of this fun imagination. Because I grew up watching TV, reading books. Like, it was just all stories to me. So I had this kind of magical way of thinking a lot. Still do, probably, and again, for better or worse. But there was this idea, you know, like... I
think it was my door, but it's okay.
What were we talking about?
We got a few distractions. You were talking about psychedelic experience?
Yeah, I remember like that opened the door for me. Like I really just I had this crazy heightened like ecstasy experience. It's like so loving and so oddly grounded as well. Like you're just present. It's not seeing shit moving as much and stuff like that. And the next day I was just like, I felt like something cracked open. I felt like I could just kind of reach for that now. It's hard to I can't think of an analogy. It's like someone stretching you, you know, and it's like whoa. But then now you're more flexible and you can move your leg further.
It's a pathway. It's just a new
it's cacophony.
It's a new range of motion. It's literally you've opened the door to perceptions. He coined the perfect term. It really is the door of perception. And I feel like I'll remember this once during one of my early mushroom trips. It was when I was starting to read more about ayahuasca and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was in this 5-gram mushroom experience, and
those are fun.
Yeah. Well, that's when I was in that state of really following Terence McKenna's guidelines, and it was in a dark room with my playlist, whatever. I don't know if he spoke about putting music, but I would have a dark room and music. And I remember going through this fucking vortex tunnel of psychedelic symmetry and geometry and all that stuff. And I went through this like tunnel. It was almost like the psychedelic sewage system. And
sounds like shrooms.
And I remember this entrance to this tunnel was like organic material, leaves and like it was just like an organic existence of like leaves, feathers, and snake scales, all going like this, and it was whispering ayahuasca like that, ayahuasca, and I'm like trying to go in, and it won't let me in. I'm like, oh, it's not the right key. Like I'm in the mushroom realm. I can't go into this door.
That's funny. And
then that's when I realized that was my calling for ayahuasca, and then thankfully I found out about it within that year, and I was able to go do it, and then that pathway opened up. So I haven't done mushrooms since. So I wonder if I can just access that door now that I've opened it.
I would assume so, or maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe it's like
if it's really a key thing, maybe it's the door I can peek in, but I can't really enter.
I don't know.
Or maybe actually, you might actually be able to, because
I'm just backing out of this. I have no idea.
When I did 5-MeO and then ayahuasca afterwards, I can tap into that 5-MeO space, not at will, but like it was like part of my experience now. Like my ayahuasca experience completely changed ever since that trip. It's like literally that door opened now. So it's interesting.
I see it, man.
Yeah.
They're similar molecules.
Look who's in the shot. Hey, Lil.
Lily.
All right, brother. I think this is a good way to start our first one back.
Stay curious.
Peace and love to you all. We are back.
Maybe. We'll see.
I'd like to be back if you would.
Of course.
Let's do it, brother.
Anyone who's still around, we love you. Caleb, you're the best. We're gonna be doing more of this. We're gonna get guests, all the jazz. We've just been on hiatus. We've been
even in our hiatus,
depressed and confused and trying to make money and just living our lives.
Even in our hiatus, we've had a lot of user engagement and a lot of views on our older stuff, which is pretty interesting. So
I love it. I haven't even checked the metrics for other platforms. YouTube is like our worst place, probably. It's amazing.
So I got to just say hi to you guys that are following us since we were in our hiatus. Hopefully you're gaining some value here, and we're going to keep adding to that value. and form that trust that we were talking about in the earlier in this episode.
Ooh.
Boom. You like that shit, huh? I tied that knot.
We love it. We hope you love it. And honestly, after talking about it today, we mean it. Stay curious for real.
Stay curious. Peace and love.
Ha!